What's up, Dish Hoops fam? Welcome to the very first episode of our brand new series, NBA Rivalries. Today, we're diving into the blood, sweat, and legacy of the 10 most historic rivalries that shaped the NBA as we know it. From trash talk legends to game-winning daggers, these battles didn't just define eras, they made them. Stick around because, trust me, you won't want to miss where your favorite showdown lands. Let's get into it. 10. San Antonio Spurs versus Dallas Mavericks, the Texas Tangle. The I-35 rivalry between the Spurs and Mavericks turned the Lone Star State into a battleground for basketball supremacy. This clash peaked in the 2000s when Dirk Nowitzki and Tim Duncan, two of the greatest power forwards ever, locked horns in playoff wars that blended finesse with physicality. The 2006 Western Conference semifinals became legendary. Dallas edged San Antonio in a Game 7 overtime thriller, with Nowitzki dropping 37 points and Duncan's potential game winner rimming out. But the Spurs retaliated in 2009's first-round series, demolishing the Mavs by 31 points in a decisive Game 5. The chess match between Greg Popovich and Rick Carlisle added layers of strategy, as Pop's defensive schemes countered Dallas's high-octane offense. Key moments like Manu Ginobili's circus layups and Jason Terry's cold-blooded threes epitomize this rivalry's intensity. 9. Pistons versus Celtics. Bad blood in the East. The 1980s Pistons-Celtics feud was a masterclass in contrast. Boston's polished, team-first dynasty versus Detroit's blue-collar bad boys. Larry Bird and Isaiah Thomas traded verbal jabs and elbows, but the real drama unfolded in the 1987 Eastern Conference Finals, with Detroit leading 1-0. Bird's iconic steal in Game 5, snatching an inbound pass with 5 seconds left, led to Dennis Johnson's series-flipping layup. The Celtics won the series, but Detroit exacted revenge in 1988, sweeping Boston en route to their first title. This rivalry wasn't just about titles, it was about identity. The Celtics represented tradition, the Pistons rebellion. Bill Laimbeer's hard fouls and Kevin McHale's physicality turned games into street fights. Their 1988 brawl, where Robert Parrish punched Laimbeer, became NBA folklore. When these teams met, it wasn't just basketball, it was a cultural collision. 8. Spurs versus Suns. Beauty versus the Beast. Steve Nash's 7 seconds or less Suns faced Greg Popovich's methodical Spurs in a clash of philosophies. The 2007 Western Conference semifinals epitomized the tension. Phoenix, led by Nash's MVP-caliber play, seemed title-bound until Robert Horry's hip check on Nash in Game 4 sparked suspensions. With Amari Stoudemire and Boris Diaw sidelined, the Spurs closed out the series, derailing Phoenix's championship hopes. Critics called it dirty. Spurs fans called it playoff basketball. Tim Duncan's 33-point, 19-rebound masterpiece in Game 1 and Manu Ginobili's 26-point fourth-quarter eruption in Game 3 highlighted the tactical warfare. San Antonio's defense, anchored by Bruce Bowen's lockdown efforts on Nash, smothered Phoenix's fire. This rivalry wasn't just wins and losses. It was a debate about how basketball should be played: fast versus disciplined, art versus grit. 7. Pacers versus Knicks. The Garden's nightmare. Reggie Miller hated New York, and New York hated him back. The 1990s Pacers-Knicks rivalry was pure theater. Miller's 8 points in 9 seconds, 1995. Spike Lee jawing from courtside, and Patrick Ewing battling Rick Smits in the paint. The rivalry's physicality peaked in 1997's brawl involving Larry Johnson and Antonio Davis, resulting in suspensions and fines. Miller's 39-point Game 5 performance in 1994, punctuated by his choke gesture to Spike Lee, became iconic. When Miller retired in 2005, even Madison Square Garden's boisterous crowd gave him a standing ovation, proof that respect is earned, not given. 6. Lakers versus Spurs. The Western Conference Gauntlet. The 2000s Lakers-Spurs rivalry was a chess match between Giants Shaq and Kobe versus Duncan, Parker, and Ginobili. Their 2004 Western Conference semifinals showdown saw Derek Fisher hit a game winner with 0.4 seconds left, a shot so improbable that Spurs fans still argue it shouldn't have counted. In 2003, the Spurs had dethroned the three-peat-seeking Lakers with a Steven Jackson dagger 3 in Game 6. The Spurs' 2013 first-round sweep of the Lakers, highlighted by Tony Parker's 23-point Game 4 closeout, marked the end of an era. This was a battle of systems. Phil Jackson's triangle offense versus Popovich's motion-heavy sets. Kobe's 45-point explosion in Game 6 of the 2001 series, and Tim Duncan's 30-20 performance in 2002 showcased the individual brilliance driving this rivalry. 2 dynasties, 1 conference, only one could rule the West. 5. Knicks versus Heat. the hate of the 90s. Pat Riley's defection from New York to Miami in 1995 lit a fuse that exploded into one of the NBA's nastiest feuds. The 1997 Eastern Conference semifinals saw Allen Houston's iconic floater eliminate Miami in Game 5. The rivalry's nadir came in 1998's brawl between Alonzo Mourning and Larry Johnson, a fistfight that spilled into the stands and led to multiple suspensions. Miami's junkyard dog defense, anchored by Mourning and P.J. Brown. 4. Cavaliers versus Warriors, the modern dynasty. War LeBron versus Steph Cleveland versus the Bay. 4 straight finals meetings, 2015 to 2018, redefined NBA storytelling. The 2016 finals cemented the rivalry's lore. Cleveland overcame a 3-1 deficit, capped by Kyrie Irving's Game 7 dagger 3 over Stephen Curry. LeBron's chase-down block on Andre Iguodala became an immortal highlight, but Golden State's 2017 super team, fueled by Kevin Durant, tilted the scales. Durant's 43-point Game 3 in 2018 and Stephen Curry's finals record 9th threes in Game 2 showcased the Warriors' firepower. This rivalry wasn't just about rings, it was about legacies. LeBron's Herculean 51-point Game 1 in 2018, the highest-scoring finals loss in history, underscored his singular greatness against a dynasty. 3 Celtics vs 76ers, the original beef. Wilt versus Russell, Bird versus Dr. J. Tatum versus Embiid. The NBA's oldest rivalry spans eras, with Boston and Philadelphia clashing in 22 playoff series. The 1960s battles were mythological. Bill Russell's 11 titles versus Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game. Their 1965 Eastern Division Finals saw Russell out-rebound Wilt 32-29 in Game 7 to advance. The 1981 Eastern Conference Finals reignited tensions when Larry Bird and Julius Erving brawled mid-game, sparking fines and a media frenzy. 2. Bulls versus Pistons, the road to greatness. Before the Bulls could rule the 90s, they had to survive the bad boy Pistons. Detroit's Jordan rules, hack, hold, and humiliate, tested MJ's resolve. In 1989, the Pistons defeated the Bulls in 6 games, winning the Eastern Conference Finals 4-2. But it was the 1991 Eastern Conference Finals that marked the turning point. A 4-0 Bulls sweep, punctuated by Michael Jordan's 29.7 PPG and Scottie Pippen's lockdown defense on Isaiah Thomas. The Pistons' infamous walk-off without handshakes symbolized the rivalry's bitterness. This feud wasn't just physical, it was psychological. Jordan's 63-point playoff masterpiece in 1986, despite a loss, foreshadowed his eventual triumph. The Bulls' ascent required conquering Detroit's brutality, forging the greatest player ever. 1. Lakers versus Celtics, the immortal rivalry. No rivalry defines the NBA like Lakers versus Celtics. From Russell versus Baylor to Magic versus Bird, this is basketball's version of Yankees-Red Sox. Their 12 finals meetings are legendary, but 1984's Heat game stands out. 97 degrees Fahrenheit in the Boston Garden, Kevin McHale clotheslining Kurt Rambis, and Bird's 20-point, 12 rebounds, and 3 assists Game 7 to claim MVP. And that's a wrap on the top 10 NBA historic rivalries. If your favorite showdown didn't make the cut, sound off in the comments. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button and hit the bell, because next Friday we're dropping episode 2, the top 5 most intense playoff rivalries in NBA history. Trust me, the drama only gets hotter. Until then, keep ballin', and remember, rivalries don't just make sports, they make legends. Peace.